feel like we've got to be more visual now that it's being filmed.
Whoa, we're being filmed?
Whoa. I mean, actually, to the people watching this, go do something better with your lives. You can listen to podcasts while being productive and doing other things. If you're watching a podcast, even if you have, well, they've given us money, so we should.
I was literally just saying, you guys are giving us money, so
yeah, but they've given us money for
it.
other benefits. Yeah. This is like the lowest.
This is £1, and you get a video.
Well, they get better stuff with £1. They get the Discord's worth more than this. Like this is dog shit. Oh, now people just see that we just have to sit here. Oh, that was really low. I'm going to play that again. That'll do.
Nice. Well, now you can see exactly how things go when we podcast
how
here.
Badly organised this is.
But this is where we've been podcasting for the last like 3 or 4. Oh God. Yeah, it'll be more than 4 months.
Well, I don't know, but in that time we've done about 3 or 4 podcasts.
Yeah, we haven't done much, but everyone that we have done since moving in here has obviously been here on our new setup as well.
Ethan's one, for example, he was on this screen and we were like, "Hi, Ethan," and he was like, "Hi," like that.
Poor Ethan, he was ill. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. He was just quiet. He's just Ethan's a chill dude.
I'm just a mellow dude.
Marx is here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Breaking COVID. But we're in an office, and you're allowed to be in an office with COVID.
Working. No, and we are working. And the Patreon's released. This is what this is all about.
Yeah,
everything.
Actually, in all seriousness, to the people watching this, thank you very much, because you are the first of hopefully many people to support this changing landscape, of which we're going to explain more and answer some questions that came in on Instagram and just generally chat shit, because that's what we do. And if you're not watching this and you can't afford to fork out £1, but you probably spend £1 on like the other day I went to the shop, I bought a Picnic chocolate bar. Haven't had one of those. Actually, I lie. I had
was
one.
Was that £1.15 or was it actually just?
No, it's probably like 75p.
Oh, yeah, I remember sometimes they're like.
But then I got another chocolate bar as well because I'm a fucking gluttonous turd.
Well,
I spent over £1 on chocolate.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, there you go.
I could have spent £1 and be watching this.
So basically the audience could become healthier by not spending £1 on chocolate and stuff. And
they can corrupt their minds instead.
One less Stella.
One less Stella.
You can't get Stella for £1. You probably can actually.
Yeah,
somewhere.
What beers can you get for £1? Remember there was those beers that was so
the 50p beers from Tesco's.
50p beers, and they were fucking strong as well. They're like 6%.
Yeah,
7%?
Tesco ordered way too much of this beer, and in all stores around the UK, you could just find 50p beer.
Well, this
so
sounds exciting.
for £2, you'd get 4 very high in alcohol
It was
beer.
wicked.
£2. Anyway.
So to answer the first question, Callum messaged very shortly after things went live. Let me read out the exact quote.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I've lost it. Here we go. He said, so in short, you got an office you can't afford and you've made a Patreon to help pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Podcast over. No. What was really funny actually is that I guess we didn't consider doing the Patreon. Well, initially we were thinking join, but we didn't really consider that until the office was going ahead. But very quickly we knew we wanted to do it because...
So taking it all the way back to before we did it.
We need like a rewind sound effect.
So taking it back, all those voice messages, the audio clips that you heard in the welcome video or the introduction video at the start were not planned. They were all voice messages that Giles had sent me before we'd even committed to this space at all. Some of them were before we even knew about this, potentially knew about this location because we were still looking. And also it didn't feel like we could. It was just kind of something we wanted to do.
And then the right opportunity came up with the right place. Like I've looked at spaces over the years and sort of wanted to do things, but yeah, like what was really cool is when we're doing the welcome video, Sam, this guy called Sam White, who he's not sort of in the parkour community, but he seems to know a load of us. Incredibly talented filmmaker. And he helped shoot kind of the one shot, and we had some crazy light set up for that. You'll see, we'll release like a behind the scenes of that.
Which will be on the Patreon as well.
Yeah, and he basically did a ton on the edit because I just feel like I've lost my creative editing knack. And
what I've seen, it felt more like a 50-50 of you and Sam.
I probably did more hours, but he did more like impactful bits. But he was like, we need it to feel Motus. And then it was like, why don't you use the voice messages? Because you always communicate with voice messages, which I think some people know me to do that, and it probably pisses them off, but whatever. So we dug back to voice messages I sent to you, Sam, a few other people, and like compiled this like cool narrative.
It was sick. It was really cool to hear them anyway.
And there's way more as well.
Yeah, there was so many that they were just the ones we chose, but it really made me realize what actually happened. Like we just didn't have this space. Beforehand, if we were ever working on anything, especially if I wanted to get involved, I was going over to Giles's tiny office in the top of his house.
Yeah. Which was fucking hot and like
spitting in the wind was edited.
It's basically just a bedroom. That's all it was.
Yeah. So if you think about Motus, until now has always been in a little bedroom, basically.
Yeah. Which makes sense because we're not a fucking huge brand.
Well, it makes sense, but it's just so cool how far we've come from that. And then now we have this.
Yeah.
Which is you know.
But yeah, where do we go? Oh, no, that's what I was going to say is like, so we're not doing the Patreon to fucking afford the rent or anything. But when we realized that this was going to go ahead, we were like, well, we've always wanted to do a join or a Patreon or something where you have a kind of, an exclusivity or whatever. And therefore having a somewhat kind of separate entity of the brand. Cause Stora obviously do like an extra video, but we can barely scrape out a video anyway.
Yeah. So. Well, we had that. We were thinking because it was join up for a while. We were thinking, we'll do YouTube join because you get the join thing next to it on YouTube. It makes it easier.
It's like, we've got the subs,
and we knew Patreon existed, but we didn't really see the benefit on having it on another website. But yeah, it just seemed join kind of just mixes up videos like that. Basically, we wouldn't be able to release polls. We wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah, join is just a video feed.
Yeah,
like you can't do.
Anyway, it was obvious. I don't know if I'm going too far down the list now, but While She Sleeps released their Patreon.
Yeah.
And immediately...
But I was just going to say before that, so like the reason we wanted to do this because there was such an obvious split that we could basically say, we'll obviously share some stuff from here on Instagram stories and it'll crop up in videos and things, but what we're going to create in this space is much more the behind the scenes of the brand, and therefore... It isn't like we've already had comments on the YouTube video of people saying like, oh, not for me. I just want to watch parkour. And it's like, that's absolutely fine. This is for those people who want to sort of really show their support and also get that extra glimpse.
Yeah.
And it was so easy. Like, oh, if we get an office, we can immediately kind of put a line down the middle and say like, one is the workshop and one is like public training, whatever. But yeah, then...
No, that makes sense because we did release one video where I can't remember what actually happened behind the brand.
What happened is at the start of last year, we went, we're going to give all our stock to fulfillment. And then within a year, we went, don't like that.
Yeah.
And then did this.
Yeah.
But yeah, While She Sleeps, are an incredible band and also incredibly DIY and everything.
Yes.
While we were like, we'd already actually moved into the previous space to this.
Yeah.
If you watch the behind the scenes videos on the Patreon, there's like this weird story where we were meant to move in here and then there was a delay and we ended up in a different office for a couple of weeks.
Just a temporary office, which is literally over
It's
there.
literally through
and
that wall.
Way bigger than this as well, but it just
and
not
like
in
really
the right
corporate.
Yeah.
And we were already filming and getting everything ready and we were fully like going down the like pretty set on join, and then Sleeps came out with their Patreon and it was like, and we suddenly realized how much more depth you could get in Patreon and the varied content. And
exactly.
So we were just like, we basically carried on doing the same thing, but said, okay, well, we can actually widen our...
Yeah, it helped because we were just producing video content anyway. We weren't thinking about all these other things that we could be doing.
Yeah. And I mean, we've obviously done sort of like they to anyone with eagle eyes, they've done a certificate, which like a physical certificate, and we've done a physical certificate because we signed up to it basically to get the experience. And it is really nice to actually have you pay a $5 or whatever and you get a physical thing. So we just actually finished posting off that batch today, the first batch.
And their purpose for their Patreon anyway was actually to inspire and to get other people to do similar things to them.
Well, it's like the shirt they did. They sold a shirt like last year that was like 20. It was basically the same price as something like 20,000 Spotify streams.
Oh, really?
Or something like that. And all it says on it is like the average sort of Spotify play out is like 25 quid for 20,000 streams or something, which is this many hours. Like to actually pay a band significant amount of money through listening on Spotify is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So they were like, this shirt is basically that equivalent, and it is so much more impactful for you to purchase that. But they made that template and gave it out for free. You can go on their website and download it and just use it for your brand. So they just made it open source so other bands can use it to generate money, basically. Which is sick.
So like taking inspiration from that, we realized we can kind of use this space not only to create content for ourselves and to show you guys what happens here, but hopefully to give you information about what happens behind a brand. Not like we kind of know, Giles knows what he's doing. But
no, I don't.
I was going to say kind of. No,
Look at that photo up there. The fucking brands from the outside and then brands from the inside. That is...
But if you're thinking about starting up a brand or just anything like that, hopefully this will help. And now we have the Patreon set up and the Discord, and feel free to speak to us whenever if you need help with anything. And also now you guys can get more involved with what we actually make here. So,
well, I think the simple truth is that we technically don't know what we're doing. This whole thing is, as everyone, you just make it up as you go.
Say with life, no one knows.
Yeah, you kind of make it up as you go along. Like we're learning more and more every day.
Yeah.
What we're going to try and do through the Patreon is like basically try and be as transparent as possible, bar sort of the obvious personal finance.
Yeah.
Like we're going to try and share as much as possible creative processes, failures, et cetera, because you guys are supporting us through paying for it. And also like, I don't know, it's a weird one because I've always been scared of sharing. I feel like I've been all right at it in the past, but it's so good to create those connections with people when you fully just like go transparent and kind of share your journey.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we do also want to potentially kind of scale the Patreon to more content or more tiers that become slightly more educational, which it's not set in that. Yeah, it's not set in stone at the moment, but it's
because I know we've got planning to do a video with Jordan, or he's getting one filmed about photography and photography within parkour and stuff. So that should help anyone out who's a photographer, but also just things like that.
Yeah. There's
tutorial-ish.
But so I guess that's sort of getting ahead a bit, but like I mean, we should run through everything that we've got going on here because really we try to make this like...
You mean right now?
The hybrid space. What do you mean?
Oh, you mean the whole space? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what like would be good to sort of clarify, because you can only say so much in the welcome video, and we really try to get the message across, but also like...
Well, you got to get the message across. Tough. You got to get the vibe right.
So hard.
And also, like, it's interviews too. So in the interviews, I'm all stern, like, I'd like to grow the brand.
And the lights were dying, and it was like running out of time, and it was like, oh my god. But I think like the grand vision for this place is like, this is like stage one, and hopefully we can scale this exponentially. It is, and the brand obviously, is that it's very fucking hard to make it as a professional athlete in parkour, straight up, like incredibly hard. This is not going to change the game for everyone, but it's like what we can do with so we're going to be producing more stuff in-house. We've had some questions about that we'll go on to in a bit. And we've moved our fulfillment in-house because we were paying a company to do that. And although they did a very good job, you're paying extra fees essentially to pay for someone else to do it.
Yeah.
You lose some of the control in terms of what you can put into your packaging, et cetera, et cetera. And given that we had this space, we're trying to make it this hybrid creative space. It was like, okay, well, we may as well bring the fulfillment back because we're still going to be making stuff in factories, specifically trousers, shorts, outerwear, et cetera, but we'll be doing more smaller, more limited runs of kind of your standard t-shirts, hoodies, et cetera, that we're producing, decorating, everything in-house. Currently, we're using kind of heat press equipment. We're moving into DTG hopefully quite soon. Embroidery is something I'd love to do, but that would require someone. We'd have to basically employ someone to do that because it's.
But this is awesome because we can see in the future that hopefully we can basically take control of nearly all of our clothing things with embroidery as well, and just getting more people in to join the team that
that's what I want to do.
Necessarily athletes, but just people to work here alongside us.
I want to make.
They're passionate about growing.
Yeah, the mission is to make Motus and sort of the workshop, so to speak, the best place to working environment. Because if you are in parkour and you love the community and you love the sport, but you can't live as a professional athlete because you don't have what it takes or whatever, but you're a sick creative or you have interest in like blah, blah, blah. Or even if you just want to fucking work in the warehouse and pack orders, like we are, just to throw it out there, we're not that big yet. Like we can't employ tens of thousands of staff and blah, blah, blah. But the goal is that we can scale this model and create a working environment that is entirely true to the culture of parkour. And we've built downstairs specifically so that it has a training set up, and that's going to develop over the next couple of weeks. We had to kind of rush the mez in, and we've got vault blocks and things like this. But like my dream office, which is basically what we've created in the smallest version, is a place that encompasses all the creative aspects of the brand plus a training setup, because we live in England and weather's shit. And it's sick, and we can employ all our friends, and we can provide careers for people who want to work within the parkour space. And this is
exactly
early days of all of this, but this is the direction that we want to take the brand. So that kind of hopefully explains that. And I'm sure we're going to fuck it up 1,000 times on the way.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's really exciting.
You guys get to see that. That's the thing. It's not trying to hide the process.
And the reason,
working it out.
Yeah. And the other thing for the Patreon is like, you guys are supporting that so directly, because buying a t-shirt, there's obviously like profit on that t-shirt, but there's the cost price of the t-shirt and things like this. Whereas even like people giving £1, Patreon take fees, so it's actually like 72p or something, but that is essentially 100% profit, so to speak. So like, let's say 1,000 people gave £1, that's £1,000 extra each month that's coming into the company to support that. Like that's a wage for someone. So it's, your support basically can make a massive difference. So if you haven't signed up and that has compelled you, then, you know, fucking get your credit card out and get your mum's credit. No, I can't say that.
No.
But yeah, I'm fucking excited.
Yeah.
I'm scared because there's a lot of things that we've got to like get our heads around, and we've been trying
and things aren't finished yet.
Yeah.
Like we still have plans. Today, me and Marks were trying to set up the Twitch stream. So there's things like that, because the downstairs, we'll do a full video on the mez when it's completely
It's so
done.
sick, the amount of stuff in here.
But hopefully you guys have seen what the space looks like from all the stuff that's out there now, but with the mez downstairs, and we've got the chill out area right on top, and we've got an Xbox up there, obviously.
Marks has just donated half his fucking
Mark
flat.
bought the TV. He brought his Xbox here.
Bought a crash
some
mat.
Games. We've got a very big crash mat.
Big crash mat.
Julia was like, "Stop taking stuff to the workshop, please."
We've got technically 3 bars.
Yeah.
Okay, let's run through it. Okay, so downstairs we have basically a hybrid room that contains all of our sort of factory made stock. So like at the moment it's kind of the most persistent collection. Packing area. There's also a weird like camera understairs. It's like a back cave of camera gear under the stairs. That's hidden away. That's still a little bit messy, but we need to sort that out. And then we have the sort of the rubber floor, which doubles up as like a training floor, where we've got precision trainers, a vault block. Well, the vault block's coming.
The vault block and the precision trainers, you welded them.
They're currently in my dad's workshop. They're coming.
But that will be on the floor.
Yeah, that'll be on the floor, but it fits nicely into the corner. We've got a photo studio backdrop hung up with different rolls.
Yeah, which basically rolls out covering the training floor. So
so
it can be a training floor, or it can be a studio, or whatever.
Because basically we can then make stuff in-house and then immediately shoot it, so we can kind of contain the whole creative process. Obviously, if we want to go out and shoot on the street, then we do that, but for product photography and stuff. And also we can kind of unofficially, we can't, under the sort of terms of our lease, we can't like rent it out as in like, oh yeah, come pay us money and things. But
we'd like to offer it up.
Well, that's the thing. If friends want to come and use it, like, I don't know, 5th unit, for example, have some products they want to come and shoot, like we can almost certainly make that happen. And then, so what we then built above the stock room, because we basically have these ridiculously high ceilings down there, is a giant mezzanine, which we kind of just, I can't remember what it was. We were just like, oh fuck, we should just make a mez.
Yeah, because we realised, that's weird actually, because that wasn't...
Well, because Toby suggested it for the Tunbridge Wells gym.
Yeah, but I can't remember how early that was in.
Not early at all. It was while we were in here.
Yeah, because we realised that there's stock downstairs, there's a training area, but there was just quite a few bits left over that we had to keep moving out the way.
Yeah, and it was like, well, if we made a mez, we've doubled our floor space.
And we weren't even thinking like, let's make a mez so we can have a sofa set up there.
No,
and like,
but
then when that
Just came along.
yeah.
that just makes the whole vibe so different.
So above that, basically I built this thing with my dad, who's a metal worker, and he was like, I will help you, but you have to take on the bulk of the work, because he was building this insane tower at his farm.
His dad has done so much for this space.
Oh, he's helped out so much. Like, it's the type of thing where he's like, you have to do the lion's share, and then he ends up helping me so much. But
for nearly all of the
floor
parkour
is
bit.
just like so uneven.
What, the floor on the
Yeah.
top that we were making?
yeah.
Oh, you mean the
No,
floor in
the
general? Yeah.
the concrete floor, yeah.
Yeah.
No, my dad has the brain to make that stuff, because I just did the manual labor.
But imagine
essentially.
trying to find someone to build a mez.
Oh, we
with-
were
full of
looking at
metal.
quotes, and it was thousands.
And also the precision trainers and the parkour block that you were welding the other day.
Yeah.
To get metal like that and to be able to do it yourself with the creative freedom. So
It's
good,
so fun,
so
yeah.
helpful.
But yeah, so we built that, and weird stuff was happening. Like, we were going to build a ladder up the side of it so we can climb on top. And then my dad's mate, who's a scrap man, turned up, and he had these two like giant curvy bars from a playground. He was like, oh, do you want these? And we were like, yeah. So we've now got this sick bar that like it
Candy
basically-
cane thing.
Yeah, it goes up the side of the ladder. We got different lache bars that can be attached in different places. Two huge bits, like two
wood?
Yeah, two
Yeah.
big plywood walls, which basically they're not screwed on right now, but we're going to attach them, modify them, cut notches in them for dynos and climb ups and descenty type.
whatever.
Yeah.
Got
Basically-
the bar thing with we could do the half 5 rollback.
Oh yeah, there's like
yeah.
I don't know how to
It's like
explain
we
that,
just
but
tried to
that's
make
sick.
the kind of space. It's a small space, but it kind of covers all the little fundamental bits that you need, I think, for movement, which is
Yeah,
sick.
exactly.
Because in the winter we can just like,
Yeah, it just doubles
can't
up as
wait.
well for
Yeah.
for us creating content, not only for the Patreon as well, but for YouTube or anything. It's now nice we've got a space to,
yeah. Exactly.
confirm that we can do things.
And then above that, there's the mez, which has like general storage, because if we're using the photo studio, we need to throw the crash mat and things up there. But slowly we've built out this like, essentially it's a gaming setup. Like, it's sofas and beanbags and TV. And
Yeah, and it's going to get better as well.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And then also behind that, I've slowly over the years collected, because I'm just a bit of a parkour nerd, like an archive of parkour clothing collections that mean a lot, pieces that mean a lot to me. So I've got like Farangs, leather jackets, like kind of classic pieces like that, plus some random ones that are thrown in there.
Yeah.
And they're all like fucking covered in plastic on a clothing rail, like protected.
It looks sick
So
up there though.
It's my parchive, which is my parkour archive.
But with the gaming setup, we haven't worked it out properly yet, but we potentially will be like maybe streaming every Friday. But
And
with
proposed thing, isn't it?
Yeah, proposed, but just something to maybe get excited for, but not just gaming, training as well. Just
Are we leaking the name?
what?
Gaming and training.
Oh, it's leaked.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone.
Mark's just randomly said the other day, gaming and training. We were like,
Makes
we should just call the Twitch channel that, because
Yeah.
it's gaming and
So
training.
that's that.
And then, upstairs is kind of it's the warmer room.
Yeah, it is.
It does
fucking
get quite cold downstairs, yeah. Actually, we should speak about the stairs, because we're slowly covering every single surface of the walls in like
Yeah.
epic parkour photography.
Who have we got so far? Stuff from Noah, North Street Boogie.
Yeah, Casey, Jack Dodds. We've got like Kieran's poster up there. We've got the PKD Gen stick. What's he called?
I can't remember the man. What is it called?
Not Epic Stick. What the fuck's he called?
What is it?
Oh, I love it. I'll bring
Magnificent Stick?
I don't know.
It's literally down those stairs. But anyway, we've got like the Stora shirt from RCA that we've got. We've got the first ever motor shirt made that's framed.
Got a bit of the Dame Delac in a frame.
Yeah, my photo with David Bell, like stuff like that. Jump Britain tickets. Then we've got Max's like IMAX Concrete huge banner on the wall, which is sick. So like I want it so it feels like anyone who's within the sport can come in and feel very much like we're like capturing a kind of element of the culture. And I've also got in that box actually a load of fucking, I love them, photos from Andy Day, who's called Keel. Well, his kind of photo name was Keel. He's basically the OG original photographer of the UF and things. So some of those photos are like some of the first photos taken of
Was it Parkour in London?
Yeah, like Parkour in London, basically, like the first ever jams, and just like guys who just kind of have no idea what they're doing, just jumping over rails and climbing on walls and things. And I used to love those photos when I was a little kid. So it's like I've captured that, and he's printed them fucking like nice paper and things.
That's
so they'll
wicked.
go up.
That's so wicked.
And then like I just whenever I see somebody with like a print or something, I'm definitely keen to try and snatch it up.
Yeah. So if you have anything that you think would fit this area,
for sure,
because we want to try and fill it out.
And we've got this massive sticker on the wall for the podcast.
Yeah, it's so
which you
so
fucked
accurate.
by cutting your hair.
So accurate. We should have known and got him to do 2, or at least have it so I could slide off my hair.
Yeah, like a sticker attachment or something.
Yeah.
Choose some Tipex.
That's a fucking lot of Tipex.
Yeah.
But yeah, upstairs is like basically it's we have kind of an editing bay for myself and Keelan, and then anyone else who wants to come in. We've got this giant table that I got off Facebook for 80 quid, I think it was, 50 quid. Table and chairs. That was the first thing I bought for this place. Yeah. I just shoved it in the office.
It's sick. It's the centerpiece of the whole thing, pretty much.
Where we're sitting right now for the podcast.
Yeah.
Little kitchen, little toilet, other things like that. But then
stuff.
The other half of the room is kind of what we have named the workshop, so to speak, which is basically a production line from sort of blank t-shirt to decorated and bagged and tagged and ready to go shirt or hoodie or whatever.
It feels really nice being able to take control over that stuff.
Yeah, and really I mean, cool. We totally want to expand it as well, because the cool thing about screen printing is straight up an art, and it's never going to die. But there's definitely a kind of rising tide of.
If people don't know, I mean, I wasn't aware of what screen printing actually was until you showed me.
Yeah, screen printing is you literally have to use...
If you look up on YouTube screen printing and just watch the process of it, you will understand why it's so fucking hard and why it's an art.
But you can get obviously we've paid loads of different companies to screen print for us, and we'll probably... we've actually just made a connection with a really decent local one who are like purely... kind of organic, and they use like vegan inks and everything, because we still probably will need to screen print some stuff. But we started looking closer to home, because if we can build up those relationships, then sick.
Yeah.
So there's this rise in like the technology behind sort of garment decoration. Sounds like a really lame term, but heat press, DTG, which is direct to garment, which DTG is like literally using a fucking inkjet printer to print onto garments. And it used to be the same for heat press. Heat press used to be just like shitty plasticky vinyl that would like peel off after 3 washes. And I'd never touch that with the barge pole. But now there's kind of new technology and new systems where you can basically screen print onto a laminate. So you actually, you screen print ink onto a laminate, and then take that and then use the heat press to actually blend that ink with the fabric. So it's kind of like screen printing, but a different thing. So we've been using systems like that. Like the last few months have basically just been a lot of testing different styles and things. And something that you wouldn't have seen in public, aside from a tiny tease in the welcome video, is we are connected with, it's actually fucking sick. They're the company that does all of Champion's brand. Like Champion do a lot of heat press stuff basically. And they do all the kind of embroidered patches and like cool decorative 3D elements on things like Champion and loads of other brands. Like they do so much stuff is made by this company, and we're producing stuff with them at the moment, but we don't have it here yet apart from samples. But so we can basically create essentially like an embroidered patch, or they take stuff to a ridiculous level of how complex they can go. So we're producing stuff with them as well.
So we should be able to do more things than just, at the moment, we are literally just heat pressing, but it'd be nice to get as creative as possible.
Exactly.
And really understand how clothing works in general.
Yeah. And like I said, we'll still be making stuff in factories and making stuff sort of from scratch. And at the moment, most of the stuff we're heat pressing on is blanks, which is something I used to be super objected to. But then you come to realize as time goes on, and after you get beaten up by shitty orders from factories over the years, that like companies that make blanks, I mean, Gildan is like the obvious name, and Gildan quality is not banging. But the funny thing is, though, people never complain.
No,
that's the worst part.
I quite like Gildan, though.
But like, there are companies that make really nice quality blanks that you kind of want to turn your nose up at because it's like, oh, it's a blank, but they make a t-shirt better than you because all they do is make t-shirts. Whereas when we try and make a t-shirt with a shitty Chinese factory and they fuck up the sizing, then we get loads of returns and complaints. Whereas if you just use a decent, like, good cotton, etc.,
they can also focus on making it ethically as well. If they're just if they're just working on t-shirts themselves, then that's already taken care of when you buy it.
So I mean, one thing that we will potentially move into in the future is making our own blanks, because we can still use our existing factories to make our own nice fit of t-shirt, for example, and then order that in bulk. But like I said, all of these things are kind of in development.
And collaborating, this might make collaborating a lot easier in the future if we want to do something with Fifth Unit, Kipper, or Fat, or anyone who we decide to. Basically, we can actually do it together and get them in, and just have a lot of fun with that.
And another kind of element of this grand vision that, once again, these are just kind of the things that we talk about less so than like we're putting action on them, but they definitely could happen. And this is once again just us kind of working in public, so to speak, is that we have discussed the idea that like we could take this space and future spaces as the thing grows to a stage where we could produce for other people.
Yeah.
So like, let's say Fifth Unit did that zombie hoodie thing, for example. Like the idea of being able to essentially produce that in-house and then almost like fulfill that on behalf of another parkour team sounds sick to me, because we're providing a service for our friends. Like there's a level of trust there. Also, there's more involvement of them in the creative process. And it's like, once again, all these things, distant future, but massive potential and kind of where we want to start moving.
Yeah.
Which could be really, really sick. So I'm very hot because I'm sitting next to this radiator.
Yeah, it's still on. But it's also exciting. So exciting.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And yeah, kind of as the whole thing grows, it's like there's just growing potential to, as I said, like employ people and stuff like this, because it's hard like to see. Well, no, it's not hard to see. It's harder to track the sort of the so-called return on investment in like an athlete. Like you sponsor another athlete, you get them to produce stuff or whatever. It's very hard to know how much revenue that athlete is necessarily bringing in unless you do like referral campaigns where they're giving out discount codes that are tracked and things like this. Not to say we're not going to fucking sponsor athletes and stuff, but it's a lot harder for a growing company to put a figure on how much you pay an athlete, because you don't know how much they're bringing in. Whereas if you have someone working directly within the company on an element of it,
it's easy to see what they.
It's easy to see and it's easy to scale, and so I don't know, like. We're fucking still. I've even speaking it out loud. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but
none of us do.
I just want to be able to hire friends and build a fucking sick team. Like, and it's not like this company's ever going to get to some Gymshark size of 100 billion in revenue or whatever.
Something we didn't even mention as well. All of this was happening while COVID was going on.
Yeah,
and it still is obviously now.
While everyone's moving out of offices, we move into one.
Yeah, but getting this all sorted and also not being able to have loads of our friends here all the time, and we want to do some big projects together as a team.
Yeah. You know? I
mean, so we haven't even been able to use this space to its full potential yet, really.
There's definitely
there's so many things that we potentially maybe in the future hosting little, not jams, but getting you guys in. We didn't actually mention it on the welcome video or on the Patreon because it's just we can't promise it at the moment, but to have you guys, the patrons, to be able to come here and either use the setup and train, not whenever you want, but I mean just as like open days. What do you call it? Like an open. That's exactly.
Yeah. So like somebody actually, let me find the question so we can
come and eat pizza, to come and train, watch a movie.
Did you say pizza?
I said pizza.
Make it Friday.
Watch a movie, play games, come and see how the clothes are made. Things like that. I think would be really, really fun.
Once COVID lockdown is over, could there be like a workshop type event thing? Which is like, I guess.
And this place is really small, but that's,
Could do some coaching.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing actually that's quite cool is that with some of the equipment that we have, it's like we have plans in the future to basically travel with that, because we could go to events and rather than just doing straight up like, selling t-shirts, we can be like, what do you fucking want? Because we can kind of do it right here for you.
Yeah.
Which is sick. Should we go through some questions? What does it mean to be a man?
Keelan?
Not sure why that's in there, but actually, one thing I did just want to say.
What does it mean?
I don't think that's a bad question.
That-
Jade and Macca stunts. No, one thing I want to say is that like I'm very aware that this feels very me and Keelan right now, and it definitely has been and is, because we're the only two people who've been consistently able to get together. Mark's has been coming down a lot more recently, which is sick. And I mean, granted, because we are the two who live locally, you're probably going to see most Patreon content come from us
Because we can control it as well.
Yeah,
We make
and
it, so
I think I actually said in the new TMP mag, which is hopefully getting delivered tomorrow, that like the YouTube is definitely the team vibe of Motus has suffered over COVID.
yeah.
But
Because if you think about it, the last thing we properly released together was Soul Destroyer.
and we haven't been together.
We haven't really been together since that was being finished while COVID.
I haven't seen Johnston since last February.
So it's been so hard, you know.
Yeah. But obviously,
That should come back once COVID is.
and once we can get the guys back up here, like, yeah. So don't fret if you're missing that, really. Do you do any specific research when it comes to decide clothing colors?
Not research, but we definitely pick a palette that we never just kind of go, I like that color, let's put it
Yeah,
together.
I'd say we're definitely trying to pick palettes, and also
Keeping in mind that it's nice to always make things that just personally me and Giles are going to wear, but trying to tap into different colors, especially for some of the stuff that's coming up, it's very colorful, and we might not wear all of it.
Well, that's the other thing.
That's deciding with colors we've got to think about.
Yeah, but that's the thing we haven't spoken about yet, is the secret store, which I'm very aware, sort of just to announce that out of the blue and essentially put that behind a paywall seems like a kind of strange thing. Like, oh, here's new products, you have to pay to get them.
Yeah.
But as time goes on and it sort of becomes more like it's just there, it's basically what it enables us to do, because realistically the people paying for the Patreon are kind of, they're like solid supporters and fans. They really want to support the brand, and therefore they are going to give us a very good like litmus test of what's going to do well elsewhere in the community, etc. So to have a sort of a niche group who we can essentially test, like let's say 10 different colorways of a design.
Well,
and then
we've got things on there right now that we are basically testing.
Yeah,
so.
we can drop, like, so we drop this kind of varsity thing, which is granted very, very simple, but just it's kind of just a test. We just want to see what colors pop off, what works. We've got more designs coming on there soon, and most of the stuff on there will transition over to the main store sort of at some stage, but we can't guarantee everything will, because some stuff might just not sell. Like, you might be the only fucking person who wants a purple and green shirt, but that might be on the secret store. But if no one else buys it, then it's not going to end up on the main thing. So it's kind of, it gives you that opportunity to really, if you see something that you want on there, and I've been trying to think, I've got some ideas of how we can show the secret store off a little bit more so that other people are aware of it. But yeah, that's kind of that reason, really.
Nice.
But yeah, with colors at the moment, we're getting pretty bold and experimentative because we can do the tests. We're not spending thousands on like 600 t-shirts of one color and being stuck with that minimum. Like,
yeah, that is the benefit of the blanks, basically.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Do we have a plan on making a shoe? It is 100% something we would love to do, but also not something we've put any.
But if we're doing what we're doing right now, I guess is heading in the right direction. If there was a direction to head for,
I'd say
making
so.
Things. But yeah, I think every parkour brand would absolutely love to make a shoe, but it is just so expensive.
Motus is the best, no question. Thank you very much. Ampersand, Scott Bass, where is the actual place? Kent somewhere. He's going to come and do a fucking overnight challenge. Imagine if overnight challenges were still a thing. To anyone listening to this, the place is covered in cameras and alarms, and I live down the road and I sleep with a baseball bat next to my bed because I had
a really aggressive, meaty dog.
Scary dog
called Darwin.
I had a really scary dream once that the house was getting broken into, and I genuinely thought it was real, and I woke up and bought a baseball bat.
Really?
Yeah, have I not told you that?
What on earth?
I got a baseball bat next to my bed purely because I had like a real, do you know those dreams that are just real?
Just real, yeah.
Yeah, and somebody
Everything
had just
was
broken into the house and was like charging up the stairs, and I woke up in a panic and just went on Amazon and bought a baseball bat.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And then I think I went back to sleep. So
Is it still there?
yeah, it's just sits. Well, I don't have anything else to do with it. It's not like next to my fucking pillow, like ready to go, but it's like...
Have you ever had a scare and gone to grab it?
No, never. Like it's in that room. I think it's down the side of the bedside table, basically. But to Scott's question, it is in Kent somewhere. It's basically in the middle of nowhere, nearish to my house and a little bit further away from Keelan's house, but closer than my house to Keelan's.
Nice.
And it's in a beautiful scenic area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is not great if you want to be in the inner city and have loads of people strolling by, but I think we like it.
I really like it being here compared to being in like a busy bit.
There's cows around here.
Yeah, there's cows.
There's more alpacas and sheep, I would say, than cows.
Yeah, there's a lot of alpacas.
You nearly hit one of those little birds.
Oh, I hit another. No, I didn't hit another deer.
Oh,
I almost hit a deer last night.
Yeah, you said that. And also, the other night when I was coming back from here, you know, when the launch happened and I came to here, a squirrel ran.
That was last night.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Last night on the way here, I watched a squirrel run
under your car.
And in the car in front of me, and it's so upsetting because it missed the front wheel of the car. Could have just waited, but like when you can't see. Oh, they can see my hands. Yeah, I just watched it.
Pay the Patreon, please. So you can see Keelan's hands.
His rear
I just watched the whole body and the head just get completely flattened into the concrete.
No, you didn't.
It was so active, and then suddenly just went, into the concrete, you know, because it's a squirrel. Oh yeah,
fuck's sake.
Anyway, not
Lord.
good.
Yeah, I hit a deer a couple of weeks ago, killed it. Fucking awful, so bad. And then the other night, another one. It literally jumped out in front of Sarah's brand new car, and it like dives down the bank, really steep bank in front of me, and I was already going quite slowly because of where I was on the road. Yeah. But I literally just went, "Fuck off!" I just shouted at it. I was like, "Fuck off!"
It happens here. So that is the downside of here. Not that there is many.
We're in the countryside.
Yeah, the animals love to go.
I almost hit a goose with a frisbee this morning. I was I was throwing the frisbee for Darwin, and I think 3 geese flew over my head, and like the frisbee basically was heading towards them, and they veered away. Just funny. Hell. But yeah.
That is funny.
How much clothing is now produced in-house compared to how it used to be? I don't know an exact percentage because the Secret Store stuff.
I'd like 100%. To say more. Yeah. But overall, if it was a guess, I'd say over 50%, surely.
I think we're moving.
Or maybe 50%
for the
hoodies, t-shirts.
Yeah, like for this summer.
Hats.
Yeah, Mark's is true. You're wearing a hat.
Yeah.
For this summer, we'll be doing a lot of stuff in-house that is hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, etc., etc. Trousers and shorts, we're producing still, and basically forever will be because we're not going to fucking make trousers ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be doing a lot of that. As we move towards winter, we'll probably get some outerwear and things done in factories and things. But yeah, it's just there's so much more creativity and fun. Mm-hmm. So, do you think you're going to be hiding better content behind the paywall? We've kind of covered this already, but I wouldn't say...
It's very, very different to anything that is on YouTube. So is it better content? It's really subjective. It depends what you want.
If you really want to see the behind the scenes of what we're doing, like the build videos that Keelan edited are quite raw, quite personal.
It's just real.
And it's just us building this place out. And like, if you were just I wouldn't care to see this from, let's say, a band that I didn't like, but a band that I did like, I'd probably like it because I want to support them.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and we're not hiding like parkour videos.
Nothing that like we think like this, the type of content that we're putting out, granted, if we edited it a different way, would probably do well on YouTube, but it's not like we're putting out some, I don't want to shit on it because obviously people are paying for it. It's really good. I really enjoy watching it, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That's it.
Yeah. What was the most challenging thing setting it all up?
This whole place.
Dealing with fucking Darwin every day.
Yeah.
Literally. Just getting a dog like him to settle down. No, I think for me, there's been a lot of trying to get the shipping and fulfillment set up so it's efficient, cost effective, like moving back from the fulfillment center, making sure that we've got good rates for postage. Obviously, we then had things like Brexit happen, and we had, the Christmas, we just got everything back into our hands, and then that Christmas rush hit where like COVID fucked everything. It was like there was already because of that was it. There were already because of COVID multiple week delays on packages, and then because of COVID, like they had less staff at the centers, especially in like the US. There were images coming out of stuff just piled. So the customer service was insane. Like we had people not getting packages for like 2.5 months, and you're just on the end of an email being like, oh, I'm so sorry. And we were just doing everything in-house back then.
It was mostly you anyway. I got COVID around that time.
Yeah.
I had to go home.
I was like, cheers, Keelan.
Yeah.
How much would it hurt to put your hand in the heat press? 170 degrees.
I mean,
squash.
Have we burnt ourselves on
I burned
it yet?
my finger cleaning it.
Yeah, but that's just tapping it. But if you're talking about so that means you're actually shutting the heat press. Your hand, you probably,
it closes incredibly tightly.
and
It would
it's
crush your hand.
150. What do we print at? 150?
170.
170 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine 170 degrees tightly squeezing your hand.
Yeah.
Hand shaking you. That's what it is.
Fletcher. Oh, Fletcher's sick. He bought the beige cargos and he wears them all the time. He asks, are the prices of warehouses like the one you selected at a reasonable price in the UK? If we were up north, we could probably get this place for 50p. We live in a really expensive area of the UK, so no. Like, I mean, we can afford it and it's all good, so to speak, but it's not. Yeah, you can definitely get spaces like this cheaper, but we have got a really good setup due to a number of factors. But yeah, why am I so handsome? I don't think I am. Actually, sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, you look good.
Who's that from?
Baja Piqué. Do you ever do that? Do you look in the mirror and you're like,
Yeah,
you're
but then it's annoying because if that does happen, there's always days where you look in the mirror and you're expecting that again.
this lockdown,
and you're like, oh,
my haircut is awful.
oh yeah,
Not good.
I never think about hair.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Marks.
Do you like the look of yourself?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I've had to reinforce it with my no hair. I had to kind of
Oh, you have to get used to
look a little bit longer and be like, oh, this is new me. Okay.
yeah.
I'm a thug.
Give myself a bit of
I like
self-worth.
it. Yeah.
That is a weird thought, actually. Just thinking about day to day, sometimes you just do like the way you look.
Sometimes you have the right outfit and
but
you're feeling fresh.
I'm pretty happy all the time with it.
Yeah, no, but I mean just the thought process.
I wouldn't say I'm unhappy. When I look in the mirror right now, I'm not unhappy, but I desperately need a haircut.
Right.
And I could probably do with a shave. Like,
Yeah,
and I feel a
Yeah.
bit sweaty.
Yeah, if I haven't shaved and I realise and I'm out, I'm like, oh no.
Like, good haircut, had a
Yeah.
shower, wearing a nice outfit, little bit of aftershave or whatever, and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh. Everyone's paying for the Patreon now so they can see.
yeah.
Have you ever considered building a parkour gym in the future? 100% something. Well, actually, I used to fucking absolutely bucket list goals. I still would love to, and I'd sort of part of me would love like a huge sprawling amount of gyms around the world or whatever. But also,
Imagine if we had one while COVID hit, though. Oh my god.
yeah, fucking poor people. Who
That's
had
the
to
thing
deal with
about
that.
this place. Obviously it affects it a bit, but we're not relying on people coming in here to pay to use the setup.
Yeah, I think now that this idea has kind of scaled in our head, I'm definitely not ruling it out, and it's something that I still probably would jump at the opportunity to do. But also, I love the idea of like this being 3 times bigger in a couple of years' time with a substantial training setup with a good like. I mean, like I said, we're never going to have hundreds of staff. Like you look at even some of the bigger skate brands, and they run on a fairly bare bones crew. But like, I want that environment to be. Just everyone loves the sport, everyone loves the brand, everyone's friends, but also there's a training setup where like you can train and it's just sick. Like
Exactly.
that's the goal, baby.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Said that in your sleep.
Yeah.
God damn. Anyone who has listened to S-Town, that was recently introduced to us.
Yes, sir.
Will you get the stock back from past years? No. We might do like moving forward, like especially now that we've opened up the Parkive and I've laid out all because I've always stored like old Motus designs and things, but now we have them in a slightly more accessible place. So it would be cool to maybe return to some ideas and be like, oh, like let's bring back this style or something, but
Yeah.
nothing certain. Scott Taylor asked when was the Discord link going out, but then we sorted that because I messaged him. But that's a really cool thing about the Patreon is you set up a Discord because I don't understand it, but It's basically
I
a big
hardly
chat room.
understand it either. Yeah.
And we've all got our own emojis that are our faces.
Yeah.
Have you not seen that?
But that is,
No.
You know
that
your
is
head.
the thing.
Yeah, I saw that you posted it.
Yeah, you
before
could- there's one
made
for
your
you.
own.
No,
There's
no,
one
no.
for me. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We should use the Patreon more, but anyone
Dis-
who's signed
Patreon?
up
Discord?
for Discord more, anyone who's on the Patreon should use the Discord because it is just
Oh, and
so much
also-
easier to get hold of us, and also
Yeah.
like for the Patreon reason anyway, and any discussions towards the close.
Get the Patreon app. If you've
Yes.
kind of looked at this so far and gone like, oh, I like the idea of it, but I don't want to sign onto a fucking website to like, because most people are on their phones nowadays. There is an app for Patreon and it's a way better experience because you just get notifications and it's like, oh, the Motus Project's uploaded this, and you're like, oh, sick, and you watch a video on your phone. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
How was Motus formed in the beginning? What was the thought process? A totally different thought process to where it is now. And
So
it was
funny, you got the first 2 people here who was on it.
Yeah, very true.
This is the initial 3.
The initial goal was like, oh, I want to start a brand that can like give back significantly to events and things. And really, I was very naive because I was just like, sell t-shirts, use that money to give events money. But
Yeah,
then
I
actually,
remember
you don't think
listening
about
to you
yeah.
say about it.
There's a lot less. Well, there's a lot more in there with regards to actually making a sustainable business and profit. So, and that's the other thing I was going to say with this place is like, we're doing this and moving into this kind of model because we want this thing to be sustainable for years to come. Like it's a rocky landscape out there for any small business, especially given geopolitical climate, like all the shit that's gone in the world in the last couple of years. So it's like trying to move towards this. Hopefully we just want to have longevity. We want to fucking stay around.
Yeah.
We want to do cool stuff and we want to grow.
But it's also the right direction for because it would be sick to start giving back again in small quantities in any way we can.
Oh, yeah,
like it having this space now kind of enables us to be more creative with how we do that.
And we still do bits here and there.
We do.
I don't know if that's public actually. I was just about to say the event thing that we were talking about in May.
You lost me.
I put it in the WhatsApp. The I'm not going to name it because it might not be a public thing yet. But we've just donated a load of stuff to that to help that go ahead. But yeah, I don't know. It's all changing. It's all growing. It's all cool. It's all gravy, baby.
Gravy, baby.
Oh, I'm having fajitas tonight. I'm so happy.
Is that all the questions?
Will there be more special rewards, discounts and stuff for the workshop?
What are we doing about discounts?
Well, I think we'll probably just end up chucking like exclusive discount codes in there occasionally. We've got a lot of content backlogs and there's also a lot of things that we're going to introduce, i.e. more stuff to the secret store, et cetera, that we just didn't want to, we wanted to give you a load when you joined yesterday, but hopefully, and in fact, in 3 minutes time, another video is dropping. So we should probably wrap this up and share
The build episode 2.
build episode 2.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Feel free as well. If there's something that we're quite stupidly missing that we could be doing here for you for the Patreon because it is for you guys, then let us know.
Exactly.
Anything that you want to know about this place or any help or any sort of videos that we can create.
Yep. As long as it's
That's
not
the purpose. Illegal.
It could probably be illegal. I was more thinking like weird. Just like, oh, can you film yourself going to the toilet? Oh, did you hear that? That was my throat.
I thought it was me. I was like,
way.
what?
It's like a little burp coming up.
Gross. Grossly awesome.
Sick. We should probably wrap this up. I want to talk about music just to piss off all the
No,
people.
don't do it, don't
I
do
know.
it.
So many people are like, don't talk about music. While she sleeps, landmarks.
Wait for While She Sleeps new album.
Error. Architects. Anyway, shall we
Fuck you, Aaron. I love talking about music.
called him
joking.
out? Shall we wrap it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for listening. Sorry, Marks, if I don't feel like you've spoken much.
That's all right. It was all about you guys.
He's in it for the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in it to win it.
Yeah, but
Mark's has done a lot,
You
by the
really
way.
wrapped up
He has.
everything there.
Mark has got a really cool thing that he's been working on, actually. I'm not sure when it will come out and in what form it will come out, but he's impressed me with his ingenuity and creativity with it. So, yeah. Wicked. Bye, video people. If you've watched this far,
Oh, shit.
if you have watched this far,
You're amazing. Thank you.
no, this one.
Loser!
No, not that one.
Loser!
That's what I have to say. Bye. Love you.
Yeah, something like that. Fucking hell, mate.